We just got a crap load of new information for Borderlands 4 from Gearbox's State of Play on Wednesday, and there is so much to go over here, so let's just jump right into it. Starting off with just some general information, which honestly might be one of the biggest things to come out of this reveal, is respawnable bosses and replayable missions without save quitting. This is absolutely huge for this new game due to how massive the maps are looking in this new reveal, which we will talk about later. This feature is something that players have been asking for years, and finally in Borderlands 4 it's becoming a reality. After completing a mission or killing a boss, you can utilize Miss Moxie's big encore machine to spawn another run of the boss or mission, which will be absolutely amazing for farming. Another pretty big thing is that loot drops have been adjusted as well. By how much we're not quite sure yet, but they have been adjusted to make legendaries matter again, and making getting a legendary once again feel special. This means that we're more likely looking at Borderlands 2 era drop rates, but I'm hoping that they've landed somewhere in the middle ground between Borderlands 2 and 3. Weapon manufacturers are going to be quite a bit different this time around, with us being on an entirely different planet. The returning manufacturers are Jacobs, Tediore, Torg, and Vladoff, whose gimmicks remain generally the same, as well as Malawan, who has gotten rid of the charge-up time introduced in Borderlands 3, once again being simple elemental elitists. As far as new manufacturers, we have Order, who has taken over Malawan's charge and release firing, Daedalus, who is touted as being reliable and easy to use, which really doesn't tell us much, but Daedalus weapons can also use multiple different ammo types, which could be very interesting early game. And the final new manufacturer, and I use that word lightly, is Ripper, the resident bandit clan. This manufacturer was only said to be full auto with not much else to go on, but they take a lot of design elements from COV weapons from Borderlands 3, so I'm guessing they're going to be pretty similar in functionality. Possibly the most controversial thing about this news cycle is the UI of the game. Now, while I'm not about to say that the UI shown in the trailer is the best UI I've ever seen, it looks entirely functional and seems to be relatively simple, which is pretty much all I ever want from a game. Weirdly enough, the minimap seems to have been removed from the user interface as well, being replaced with a compass, as well as Echo 4's navigation feature, which will straight up draw a line to where you're supposed to be going. Randy Pitchford said in an interview last year that the world of Borderlands 4 would be the most open and free of any in the franchise, and while a lot of people have taken that to mean Borderlands 4 would be an open world game, that is not true. However, there are a lot of different elements taken from other open world games. Known as dynamic elements around the map, these are small mini-missions that can be stumbled upon without needing to be acquired beforehand. The example we were shown in this gameplay reveal was a silo that can be activated to reveal the surrounding area's map, similar to viewpoints in the Assassin's Creed series. Silos will additionally reveal the location of a hidden vault key fragment, which can be used to take on a vault, which is a high-level dungeon with challenging enemies and high-level loot. Which is certainly an interesting idea for vaults, but we'll have to wait and see how that works in practice. But if the game isn't truly an open world game, what did Randy Pitchford actually mean by the most open and free of the franchise? Well, Borderlands 4 features 4 massive zones that can be traveled through seamlessly and freely to your heart's desire, whether to simply rush the main story or explore the aforementioned dynamic events. So far, we only know the name of one of these zones, which I'm assuming will be the starting zone, Terminus Range, which is a snowy, frigid, mountainous area. Movement changes have been a huge point of marketing for a while now, and surprise surprise, we're getting a bunch of new movement mechanics in Borderlands 4. In this gameplay reveal, we are introduced to full-on vertical climbing, which we have not even heard of until now. We also saw gliding, which has a limited duration of use and a cooldown. Air dashes, double jumping, and point grappling were all further confirmed in this reveal as well. All of these different movement mechanics, combined with the ability to summon our car from anywhere without the need for a catch-a-ride station, will make traversing these big maps fun and easy. Borderlands 4 will also have a bunch of new changes to gear. Firstly, with weapon parts getting a complete overhaul. Rather than in Borderlands 3, where each weapon had a whole bunch of different parts it could roll with that would change its damage, or its fire rate, or its magazine size, in Borderlands 4, each weapon is able to roll with manufacturer licensed parts, like a Torg magazine, a Malawan elemental switch, a Hyperion shield, and so on. These parts fundamentally change the function of the weapon, adding bonus abilities or features. This is another pretty interesting idea for the weapon parts system that isn't just a simple stat increase. The other thing to note about weapon parts is that the maximum amount of allowed weapon parts is tied to the rarity of the weapon, with legendaries having a maximum of 4. In addition to the weapon parts overhaul, we've also been introduced to a whackload of new gear options available in the game, starting with Ordnance. This is the gear slot that is replacing the traditional grenade slot, and while you can put actual grenades into your Ordnance slot, there are now a ton of other options to be there. The examples we see in this 20-minute preview are cannon turrets, miniguns, grenades, and rocket launchers, which means that rocket launchers are no longer considered an actual weapon, but rather an ability. The cool thing about Ordnance weapons though is that they do not use traditional ammo and are rather tied to a cooldown rate similar to our action skill. This means that they will passively regenerate ammo without us needing to purchase any. Rev kits are another new addition to our loadout, which were pretty quickly glossed over in the gameplay reveal, but these are essentially items that we can use during combat to either regenerate health or buff our character. What's not really super clear, to me at least, is if these will be a lootable item that has a cooldown or a purchasable from medical vendors around the map, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. The final piece of new equipment we were shown in this reveal are enhancements, which are replacing artifacts. These enhancements provide additional bonus effects to weapons with specific manufacturer licensed parts, like a more creative company man or allegiance artifact. We see a couple of options for these in the gameplay reveal, like weapons with Torg parts firing stickies that hit for 50% damage when first hitting an enemy, weapons with Ripper parts getting 2% weapon damage for each consecutive shot fired, stacking up to 25 times, and weapons with Jacob's parts having a 40% chance to ricochet non-critical hits to nearby enemies. These enhancements can also be seen rolling with what I can only assume to be randomized passive abilities, which if you know me, concerned me a little bit. But the randomized passives seem to be a lot less hyper-specific, which means they could be okay. The biggest change, by sheer volume of stuff changed, has got to be the skill trees. The skill trees in Borderlands 4 have gotten a huge expansion. Just like in Borderlands 3, each character will have 3 different action skills that can be switched through on the fly. However, unlike Borderlands 3, each action skill has its own skill tree, which starts off with one primary skill tree and branches out at the bottom into 3 additional skill trees, which essentially means that each character has 3 primary trees and 9 secondary skill trees. The one thing that isn't 100% clear to me is if the skill trees will actually function if we do not have its respective action skill equipped, which I assume it would, but who knows. Another change in the skill trees is that capstones are no longer just counted as a simple skill point, but rather have to be equipped in your character's single capstone slot, meaning that each character can only have 1 capstone active at a time. And action skill augments are also coming back with 1 single slot as well. The final addition in the skill trees here is a character trait, a trait that our character will always have. Vex, the new Siren's character trait, is that she's attuned to her current gun's element, making her action skill and melee damage deal that damage type. There is a lot more stuff to go over regarding this reveal, but these are, I feel, the general additions and changes that are the most important to know. I will be trying to get another video out regarding everything we know of the new Vault Hunter sometime within the next few days, and if you want to see my live reaction to this whole event, it is available for viewing on the channel. Thanks for watching, have a fantastic day.